سيما بقية الله روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء. أما بعد، يقول الله في محكم كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنما المؤمنون إخوة. But first of you, allow the salawat in honor of the greatest man to walk this earth, Al-Habib Al-Mustafa Muhammad. The second, in honor of the greatest lady to walk this earth, Al-Hawra Al-Batulati Fatimah. And the third, with your loudest voices, in honor of our Imam Sahib Al-Asri wa Zaman. Allahumma salli. The verse in question, inshallah, that we're going to utilize to discuss tonight is from chapter 49 of the Holy Quran, verse number 10, which states that the believing men are indeed brothers. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً. Tonight we have a very interesting discussion that will relate to the person that we commemorate tonight. Because in order that we find the true significance, even though as much as we try, we can't understand the character of Abu Fadl al-Abbas, as we'll discuss tonight and see how far away we actually are from understanding who this great personality was. However, in order to understand a drop of an ocean of the character of this great man that died defending his Imam and his brother on the 10th of Muharram, the topic for tonight is going to be about brotherhood. Now the first, we're going to look at different usages of the word brother within the Holy Quran. All 4 different usages of the word brother in the Holy Quran. Then we're going to discuss these particular usages in more depth, looking at the 3 types of brotherhood that we come across. And the third one, which we're going to look at in detail, applying to Abu Fadl al-Abbas, going to draw us towards the life of Abu Fadl al-Abbas and what we can learn just from the 10th of Muharram and the days that developed into the 10th of Muharram and how much we can learn from this great personality. So inshallah, to start tonight's lecture, please assist me in blessing the majlis with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The usage of the word brother in the Holy Quran comes first and the most obvious as the blood brother, having either a common father or a common mother within the Holy Quran. As one example, when Musa says to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as the verse we quoted earlier, رَبِّ اشْرَحْ لِي صَدْرِي وَيَسِّرْ لِي أَمْرِي وَاحْلُلْ عُقْدَةً مِّن لِسَانِي يَفْقَهُ قَوْلِي وَاجْعَلْ لِي وَزِيرًا مِّنْ أَهْلِي هَارُونَ أَخِي. My brother, Harun, as stated in Surah 20 of the Holy Quran, verse number 29. Another usage, if you look at chapter 12 of the Holy Quran, we find many usages for the Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam with his brothers and the different dynamics of their relationship that went up and went down and went back up again. So the first usage is the one that we can all relate to, being a blood brother, either from the same mother or the same father. The second usage within the Holy Quran looks at it to be a more of a community basis. وَإِلَى مَدْيَنَ أَخَاهُمْ شُعَيْبًا. And to a particular category of the world, namely Madian, their brother Shu'aib. Meaning there's a particular brotherhood which is community oriented or have the same ideologies that you can call a brother. The third, which Allah refers to in Surah 3 of the Holy Quran, verse 103, where He says that the Muslimin are joined in the sustenance from Allah as brothers. Muslims, that's the third. So you have a brother by blood, brother in a related term, which is a community basis, a brother in Islam, which brings us to the final aspect and the important one for tonight's discussion, a brother in faith. إنما المؤمنون إخوة. And this is the important one that we're going to look at tonight. Because there's a difference between a Muslim and a mu'min. And a rank of a mu'min, a brother in faith, is higher than that of a brother in religion. Someone can come, what's the difference between a Muslim and a mu'min? Sulaiman ibn Khalid narrates from Imam al-Sadiq, narrating from the Holy Prophet of Islam, saying the difference between a Muslim and a mu'min as follows. Is a Muslim man salim al-nas min yadihi wa lisanih. A Muslim is someone, obviously we know that he recites the two shahadat. However, everyone is safe from his hands and from his tongue. Small category when you first enter Islam. Then a mu'min is a person where all the Muslims can trust. So not all Muslims trust every other person. But the Muslims will all trust a mu'min. Man i'tamanahu al-muslimun. That's what a mu'min is. A person with faith. So let's look at this particular faith and the aspect of brotherhood that it comes with. Umar ibn al-Khattab narrates, he says, when all the Muhajirin came towards Medina and they met with the Ansar, he says, the Prophet of Islam took it upon himself to make everyone from the Muhajirin and the Ansar brothers. آخى بين المهاجرين والأنصار. He says, everyone, the Prophet put a brother for. He says, myself, Umar ibn al-Khattab states, the Prophet of Islam made my brother Abu Bakr. He says, there was one person that was crying because the Prophet never made him a brother with anyone. And that was Ali ibn Abi Talib. He comes towards Amir al-Mu'minin, O Amir al-Mu'minin, why is it that you cry? He says, O Rasulullah, you've given everyone a brother. How about myself? He says, O Ali, you are to me like Harun was to Moses, except that there is no prophet after me. Meaning, O Ali, you are my brother in this particular religion. He goes further than that. He says, we are so close. We're going to go into detail with this. He says, we're so close in Ayat al-Mubahala. When the Prophet of Islam is debating the Christians of Najran. And we all know this story, but let's look at a particular detail of the verse in question. He says to the Christians of Najran, he says, bring forth your woman, we'll bring forth our woman. Bring forth your sons, we'll bring forth our sons. And we'll bring forth ourselves. Would you bring forth yourselves? The Christians, they bring forth their women. Prophet of Islam brings one woman to represent Islam. Fatima al-Zahra. For Hassan and Hussein were the ones that the Prophet of Islam brought as his sons. They brought their sons. But for himself, and this is the aspect we want to look at, he says, Oh Ali, you are like Aaron to me. أنت لي بمنزلة هارون من موسى إلا أنه لا نبي بعدي. For himself, the Prophet doesn't come himself. He brings Ali ibn Abi Talib to represent him. He says, this person is myself. Look how close of a relationship Amir al-Mu'minin shared with the Prophet of Islam. I think I've got the first sign for today to allow the brothers to move towards the left. Rahimallah. من ذكر القائم من آل محمد. They're already getting up. Yeah. If the ladies can also help, the ladies coming in, it would be greatly appreciated. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala. So the different levels, inshallah, that we're going to look at tonight of brotherhood don't relate to any other prophethood except the brotherhood in faith, which is the highest level that a person can reach. It has three particular categories. This brotherhood in faith. The first of them is by the name of the general brotherhood. Al-Ukhuwat al-Amma. General brotherhood is very basic. It's a higher grade in order that it's for faith. People that have faith. Not just the mere Muslims. It's a faithful Muslims. But it's still general. Why? It has 6 main points that needs to be upheld in order that you can fall into the first category, which is the general brotherhood. The first of them is that you pardon your brother without telling them what they did wrong. A person comes to you, your brother in faith. Sisters can apply it for their sisters in faith. Someone's done wrong by you. For you to achieve the first level of the simplest levels of brotherhood is that if someone's done wrong by you, you forgive them without putting them accountable for their actions. Someone swore at you, for example. You say, I forgive you for that act. But you don't go further than that. By the way, keep reminding them. Remember that day that... First level, very simple. Pardon them without accountability. First level. Second level is that you share a specific relationship based on love and mutual respect towards the religion. Very simple. And there's many rewards in it. The first of them, in traditions, tell us, if you go just towards the household, or try to go towards your brother in faith, Allah writes for every step that you take 1 reward. And that particular step, not only does Allah write 1 reward, but He removes 1 sin. For every step, you get a reward, minus 1 sin. 1 reward, minus 1 sin. Says if you go towards a person's house, and you knock on the door, Allah will give you such a grand reward that He opens the doors of the heavens for you and showers you. And He tells His angels in the heavens that you see how their relationship is. Either one of them will not enter my hellfire. So for us, something so simple. But in the eyes of Allah, it's so grand. It has a high magnitude. Great rewards. And we'll get to why. The third is that you do not show enmity towards your brother. Don't show him hatred. You're angry, you've had a bad day, issues occur, never show them hatred. Never look at them in a wrong manner. Never allow them to feel uncomfortable around you. Simplest level, we're still going there. The fourth is that you go out of your way to meet with them. Go out of your way to check up on them. Go out of your way in order that they are comfortable, that someone is checking up on them, someone asks about them. In joining relations at the simplest form. That's the fourth level. So much so that we have tradition that tells us if a person was to go 3 days and 3 nights angry at one of his brothers, they had some sort of disunity amongst them. 3 days and 3 nights, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states that these two people, I am bari'un minhu. I dissociate myself from these two. Well, hold on. Oh Allah, there must have been one oppressor and one person being oppressed. Do they both fall under the same category? That you dissociate yourself from them? Imam al-Sadiq, we go towards him, we ask him this question. What's your opinion? Imam al-Sadiq, what does he say? He says, yes, there's an oppressor and then there's a person being oppressed. However, a lot of people will put the blame on the oppressor. He says, how about the oppressed? Why is it, if he's really his brother in faith, that he doesn't go up to the person that was the oppressor and say, I was the oppressor and you're the oppressed, to make everything better? He says he has that power in his hands. So Allah is judging him based on that. Which one of us would do it? Someone comes and hits you or takes something from you or swears at you, and you're angry towards them, and you go and say, well, I'm sorry. You didn't slap me, I slapped myself. I was in the wrong. What kind of position would you be in that person's eyes? Because that person knows he's wrong. But if you come and say, well, I was wrong, you say no. Imam says, look, go out and try to enjoin relations and correct relations in the best way that you know how. The best way. Number 5 is to honor your friends. Honor them. Respect them. Make them know that they're valued in your eyes. Never degrade them. We're not going into too much detail because the first level, very basic. I'm just mentioning the points in order that we go up to the one that really matters, which is the third. The 6th and final level of the basic general rule of brothers in faith is that you do not point out their downfalls. This is an interesting one. And that's the one that most of us will fall into. Knowingly or unknowingly. Do not follow a person's downfall. If he is or isn't your brother in faith, never follow a person's downfalls. Because Allah says, for a person that follows someone's downfalls, Allah will follow their downfalls and will expose them one way or another, even if it's in their own household. What do we mean when we say someone that follows someone's downfalls? Let's say a particular person does a particular action. Community-wise, we don't accept it. It could be haram, it could be looked down upon, whatever it may be. However, we come, we're in another gathering. By the way, did you remember that person? Yeah, I know him. He's son of such and such. You know he did this? Yeah, I know. It's such a bad thing. Haram. How could someone like him do that? That group of people, let's say 10, 2 of them talk to another 2, and it spreads. Suddenly the whole village or the whole community would know that person's downfall. Mind you, that person, Amir al-Mu'mineen says, never judge a person today based on his action yesterday, because he could have repented in the night. Never follow someone's downfalls, because Allah will follow yours. So even nowadays, WhatsApp, we have a lot of big problems with WhatsApp. Because all of a sudden we have all these groups, the ladies especially. Anything that happens in the community, they know before we come home. How did you know? Well, that such and such person posted it on a group, suddenly the whole village knows. Because they're all one group. But what that particular point was someone's downfall. And all of a sudden everyone knows. To have the basic level of a brother in faith, the last level, which is the 6th, is not to go after and follow their downfalls. If anything, cover it up for them. If you see something wrong on someone, take him aside. Be a mirror for them. that was amongst earlier today, Shabab al-Sabtain, we went and we met. The Shaykh said it's something very beautiful that we can relate to tonight. He says a brother, as we mentioned yesterday, a brother is a mirror of his brother. Likewise, a sister is a mirror of her sister. There's a delicate point to be looked at when we look at this particular example. The idea of a mirror, at the first instance when we think about it, a mirror, when we look at it, we see ourselves. We see our faults. If we wake up in the morning, the Shaykh says, he says, we see one hair is one way, another hair is another way. One eye is open, the other eye is closed. He says, however, we know that there's faults, but we're thankful for the mirror. Why? Because we can point out that which is wrong in front of us. If a hair sticking out, we'll put it back in place. Needs wax, we'll put wax. Anything that needs fixing on our physical level, as a mirror, if we see it, we're not offended that we see it. But we're thankful that we have that mirror in order that we see our faults. We see that which we could not have seen without it. Likewise, if we have a mu'min brother or a mu'min sister that can be a mirror to us, that would be one of the best things to have by your side. Because you won't be offended when they tell you, by the way, this action that you're doing, it's wrong. This particular place you're about to go, that's not going to be good for you in the long run. This will dent your reputation. And you'll take it for them. Why? Because they know that they want the best for you. Al-mu'minu mir'atul mu'min. The first level, the general level of brotherhood. Al-ukhuwa al-amma. Now we get to the second level. Al-ukhuwa al-khassa. The specific brotherhood. So once you've already attained your degree in the first level, you've achieved all that which you have to achieve in those 6 levels, or the 6 points in the first, you get to the specific brotherhood. In the brotherhood based on faith. And it has 5 points. The first one had 6 points, this one has 5. We're getting it a little bit harder. This one, it says the first is that what's inside him is the same as that which is outside. What do we mean? He doesn't keep anything from you. How he feels about you or how she feels about you, what's in her heart, what's in her mind, it's always on her tongue or always on his tongue. You know exactly what's in his interior and how he feels about you or how she feels about you. There's no secret between you. You guys are both open books, knowing the ins and outs of each other. See how specific it is? The second level in the specifics of brotherhood is that you love for them what you love for yourself. It's going to be very hard for this. You're in a business transaction with your brother in faith, but you want to take the bigger cut. Do you do right by him? Or do you do wrong by him? We get a little bit more cash in the process. Is that you love for them like you love for yourself? That's the second level. Whatever it may be. The third, if you attain a rank or a position, or you get a little bit extra money in your day-to-day life, it doesn't change who you are towards them. Many of us, you achieve a rank, or you move up in the world, your friends try to call you, ooh. Don't open WhatsApp, because they'll know if you read it. I want to make sure they don't contact me. Why? I don't have time for them. I don't want to talk to them. They're going to talk about ABC. That was when I didn't make it. Now that I made it, I have to talk to different people. They forget everything. It says the third rank of a specifics of al-ukhuwa al-khassa is that if they attain more wealth or attain a higher position, they do not change with you. The fourth is that if they need your assistance, nothing will stop you from assisting them. Nothing will stop you assisting them. They call you up 1 o'clock at night. This is a bad example, but we can relate to it. Well, I can. 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, someone calls you, well, I need your help. What happened? You had a flat tire or they're stuck somewhere. And you're like, just put my head down. I'm tired. Not bothered. So you make up an excuse. Well, I'm busy. Got work in the morning. Can you call someone else? It says if you had that specific brotherhood, nothing on earth would stop you from going to his aid. No excuse in your mind. No person holding you down. No wealth that you will not spend in order to help your brother in need. And the final level is that whenever your brother is down, you do not leave their side. Whenever they're down, make sure you're by their side, through thick and thin. Most of us, whenever someone makes it, we're by their side. I'm with this person. Make sure the whole world knows. But as soon as they go down, as soon as they're not in the spotlight anymore, or they lose their job, or they go broke, whatever have you, you change your number. Just in case they call you when they need you. He says, no. A mu'min that enjoys this second level of specifics for a brother in faith will never leave you when you're down. On the contrary, he'll be side by side in thick and thin, whatever you go through. The first level, which we discussed, the general brotherhood. The second level is the specifics of brotherhood. And the third, in Arabic, is stated to be al-ukhuwa al-haqiqiyatul haq, the true essence of brotherhood. And it's very difficult to reach that specific level. Why? Because at this particular level, you will have to dissolve in the love towards your brother. That's what it says. You have to dissolve in the love towards your brother. There's only specific people within history that have ever come close to be at the level, or to be discussed to be at that level of brotherhood in which you dissolve in their love. And this is the person that we commemorate tonight. Abu Fadl al-Abbas is one of them that we discuss, and that he dissolved in the love towards his brother. So much so that he put himself a ransom for him. When he goes to the water on the 10th of Muharram, before he is martyred, he takes the water. What does he say? Ya nafs min ba'd al-Husayn huni. He says, who are we, O my soul, that we should drink? There is no reason to live if it's not for Hussein. You know who did that before him? The only other person that we can look at to have reached that rank? Ali ibn Abi Talib. When? When he chose to sleep in the bed of Rasulullah. The night that the people were going to come and attack the Prophet of Islam in his house. Ali, would you sleep here? He says, O Rasulullah, will you be okay? As long as you're okay, O Rasulullah, without a doubt. Nafsi fidak. May I be sacrificed for you, O Rasulullah. Such a great stance that Amir al-Mu'mineen had, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and a tradition that we had, states that Allah looks at Jibreel and Mikael in the heavens. And He says, I have made you two brothers. Which one of you is ready to give up their life in order that your brother lives for longer? Jibreel, Mikael, they're looking at each other. They're angels. They begin to look at each other. He says, go down towards the earth and look at my servant Ali ibn Abi Talib that gave up his self for his brother Rasulullah. Go look. Like father, like son. Abu Fadl al-Abbas on the 10th of Muharram. Let's look at this great man. We're going to look at him in detail to look at how grand he is in his actions, number one. And number two, what kind of rank he had in the eyes of Ahlul Bayt. Abu Fadl al-Abbas is a known warrior, valiant. There's many aspects of Abu Fadl al-Abbas's life that we know by name, but not by events. As an example, when we always refer to Abu Fadl al-Abbas as Sab' al-Qantara, the lion of the bridge. What bridge? What incident? What happened? Malik al-Ashtar narrates this. Look at Abu Fadl al-Abbas. Malik al-Ashtar states, he says, ever since I was born, look at this. Ever since I was born, he says, I thought during my entire life that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't create me with a heart. Why? He says, I never felt any fear. Amir al-Mu'mineen, what does he say about Malik al-Ashtar? He says, Malik is solid on faith. He says, if Malik was to walk inside of a forest in the darkest of nights, and he stepped in the belly of a lion, he wouldn't twitch. He wouldn't feel fear. He wouldn't be scared. Imagine in the midst of the night, in a forest, you step in a lion's belly. Who says Amir al-Mu'mineen? He says Malik won't feel a thing. Malik says, I've always thought I never had a heart because I couldn't feel fear. He says, until one specific moment in my life. When was it? He says, in Siffin. Well, Siffin was a war that lasted months on ends. Malik was a person that said, when Ali ibn Abi Talib would go into the battle, I'd count, because we'd know Amir al-Mu'mineen, every time he'd kill someone, he'd say Allahu Akbar. So I began to count how many times Amir al-Mu'mineen would say Allahu Akbar. And I'd count how many people I would strike and kill. The person that fears, would he do that? He'd be too worried about striking or being struck down. He says, I'm counting. Look how easy it was for him. He says, until Ali and myself came to meet, he says, oh Ali. He says, I thought about it. Just thought about it. He says, I thought then there's no difference between me and Ali. I just thought, I had a thought in my mind. Because he killed 1,000, I killed 1,000. You know what Amir al-Mu'mineen looked at Malik and said? He says, Malik, the difference is, he hasn't even said anything to Amir al-Mu'mineen. Just thought about it when they met. He says, Ya Malik, The people you strike are different than the people I strike. How? He says, you strike any one of the enemies. He says, I look a man in his eye. I look 7 generations down his lineage. If there's one good person, I don't strike him. Who is Ali ibn Abi Talib? He says, if I see one person in 7 generations, I don't strike him. When did Malik feel fear in this Siffin battle that happened against Muawiyah? He says there were particular ranks that people had. They had to hold those particular positions. Imam al-Hussein held a position. Imam al-Hassan held a position. Malik held a position. There was a position which was a bridge that had just been taken over. Malik comes towards Amir al-Mu'mineen. He says, oh Amir al-Mu'mineen, they've taken over the bridge. Who will you put in that place in order that he reclaims for us that bridge? He says, I'm going to put my son Abbas. I'm going to put my son Abbas. Malik, look at this instance. This is what we're going to come down to. Malik looks towards Abu Fadl al-Abbas. Then he looks back at Amir al-Mu'mineen. He says, oh Amir al-Mu'mineen, Abbas is just a boy. How can he reclaim that particular bridge? Malik states, he says, then I looked towards Abbas. Abbas looked at me in such a manner that there and then I only knew that I had a heart, because fear struck it when I looked into his eyes. Sallu ala Muhammad wa Inshallah, one more request. Apologies again, brothers and sisters. It's just for the brothers coming inside and the sisters coming inside. If you can just a little bit move towards the left-hand side of the stage. Rahimallah man dhakara al-qa'ima min ali Muhammad. لحمن صلى على محمد وآل محمد. So an instance of bravery for Abu Fadl al-Abbas when he goes and reclaims as a youth, as a boy, that particular bridge in Siffin, a vicious battle. So imagine what kind of warrior Abu Fadl al-Abbas was, that it could strike fear into the heart of a person that Amir al-Mu'mineen says if he stepped on a lion's belly in the middle of a night in the forest, he wouldn't move. As a youth, the look of Abu Fadl al-Abbas had that particular effect. Imagine what kind of person he grew up to be. Abu Fadl al-Abbas never stopped speaking out against oppression. Many positions that he was in. Another example that we have is as the Ahl al-Bayt, Imam al-Hussein alayhi afdal salati was salam, was being targeted in Mecca and were being forced to leave, and they would not allow Imam Hussein to finish his pilgrimage rituals. You know what Abu Fadl al-Abbas did? He stands up on the top of the Kaaba and he begins to speak to all the people performing pilgrimage. You know what he says? Look at the words of this man to understand what kind of ma'rifah he had for Ahl al-Bayt. Very detailed. Each one of the lines of Abu Fadl al-Abbas, he needs a lecture themselves. He gets up on the top of the Kaaba. He said, blessings to Allah that He honored this house. And he points at the Kaaba. He says, praise be to Allah that has honored this house with the birth of this man's father. And he pointed to Imam Hussein. Praise be to Allah that has honored this house with the birth of this man's father. Then he says, you try and take away Imam Hussein from finishing his Hajj pilgrimage. You try to take away a man that's more deserving to the Kaaba than any of yous. He says, by Allah, look at the words. He says, by Allah, if it wasn't for the justice and wisdom of the Almighty, that this Kaaba, instead of the Imam coming towards it, it will go towards the Imam. This black rock that everyone's trying to get blessings with their hands, if you ask it, the black rock wants the blessings from the hand of Hussein. He says, look in whose houses wine is served, and he mentions Yazid. And look who has Al-Kawthar in the hereafter in their hands. Look in which households dancing is prevalent, and in whose houses the verses of the Holy Quran have been. He says, you try to make us fear you by telling us about death. He says, you talk to people that played with death in their infancy. How about now that we've grown? He says, you're heading towards the same evils that Quraysh went towards when they tried to assassinate the Prophet. Now you're trying to assassinate his grandson, Hussein. He says, but just like Amir al-Mu'mineen was there to protect the Prophet, I am here to protect Hussein. Allahumma salli. That's why when we look at Abu Fadl al-Abbas, we know that he knows his Imam so much that even though Imam Hussein was his brother, he never once called him brother until the 10th of Muharram. He'd call him my master Hussein. My master Hussein. Look at the ma'rifah he had. Our Imams talk about him and treat him in a different manner. As an example, Imam Zain al-Abidin, when he returns to bury the bodies on the plains of Karbala, what does he do? The people there, he allows them to dig the graves. And he allows them, when he's putting into the graves the Ansar, to assist him. When he goes to Imam al-Hussein's grave, they come to assist him. Imam Zain al-Abidin says no. He says, I have with me who will help me. They look, they say, who's with him? They see him holding one side and the other side levitating. He says, don't worry, I have with me those that will assist me in this burial. And he buries Imam Hussein. When he goes towards the Euphrates River, where Abu Fadl al-Abbas lay, do you think he allowed the people to help him? He did the same thing that he did with an Imam that's a ma'soom. Abu Fadl al-Abbas, he tells the people, don't worry, I have with me those that will assist me. You see where I'm going with this? The same way Imam al-Hussein was buried by Imam Zain al-Abidin, Abu Fadl al-Abbas was buried. Do you think it's normal that Abu Fadl al-Abbas was left at such a distance from where Imam Hussein was? Imam Hussein, every single person he brought back towards the tents, put them alongside one another. Why is it that Abu Fadl al-Abbas was left there? Many people will come with different ideas. The first would say that Abu Fadl al-Abbas was cut up in so many pieces that every time he would be lifted on one side, the other side would fall. That's incorrect. Why? Because we all know in traditions it tells us that Imam al-Hussein reached Abu Fadl al-Abbas while he was still alive and spoke to him. If his pieces were everywhere that he would lift one side, the others would fall, Imam al-Hussein wouldn't have made it in time to speak to him. The second tells us that he was too afraid to go back in order that he didn't bring back the water towards Sakina. But we find Abu Fadl al-Abbas is nothing to be ashamed of. He did more than enough. He sacrificed his hand, right, his left, his eye. He shouldn't be ashamed going back. He says, I've done everything to bring you the water. But it suffices to say that Allah's plan is that Imam Hussein has a shrine, and Abu Fadl al-Abbas also has a shrine. Because Abu Fadl al-Abbas, if he's buried in the same shrine as Imam Hussein, we'd find he wouldn't have the significance. Because there's a ma'soom in that shrine, he's going to be the main person. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in His majesty, with His knowledge, chose that Abu Fadl al-Abbas would remain there. So he would have a dome on his grave, and Imam Hussein would also have a dome. Abu Fadl al-Abbas has a rank, and Imam Hussein has a rank. Imam al-Sadiq said about Abu Fadl al-Abbas, there's such a rank in the Day of Judgment that every single shaheed would look up to him and envy his rank. That's what kind of rank Abu Fadl al-Abbas has. Let's look at the ma'rifah of this great man in one specific tradition before we finish for tonight. And that's the covenant. There's a covenant, as we know if we read the Maqtal, that Shimr brought towards Abu Fadl al-Abbas. And he said in it that you are our cousins from your mother's side, and this battle is nearly won. We have 30,000. You only have a few hundred people here. This covenant states that you are safe from fighting this war because you're related to us. Abu Fadl al-Abbas, he hears it but doesn't get up. Mind you, it wasn't an aspect that they want to have safety, because they knew what kind of a warrior Abu Fadl al-Abbas was. They were trying to break the ranks of Imam Hussein, because they knew without Abu Fadl al-Abbas, the ranks of the army of Imam Hussein didn't have value. Abu Fadl al-Abbas himself was an army. His name struck fear into the hearts of the enemy. So they're trying to get him on his side. Imagine a ma'soom. We know a ma'soom doesn't say anything that can be taken lightly. His words are that perfect that it's higher than anything a makhluk can say. However, it's lower than the khaliq. Their words are perfection. When on the 7th day, Abu Fadl al-Abbas, when we have Saqi, Atasha, Karbala, on the 7th day, 20 of the companions were by the Euphrates River. They made it there, they couldn't get back with the water. Does Imam Hussein sacrifice his whole army? What does he do? He goes towards Abu Fadl al-Abbas. Look at the rank of Abu Fadl al-Abbas in the eyes of a ma'soom. Imam Hussein, he said towards Abu Fadl al-Abbas, بِنَفْسِيَ أَنْتِ. What does that mean? In Arabic we say, فِدْوَ رُوحْ لَكَ. May I be sacrificed for you. Who? Imam Hussein says. To who? To Abu Fadl al-Abbas. What kind of rank does he have? If a ma'soom states, may I be sacrificed for you, O Abbas. Who is this Abbas? When the covenant comes, Imam Hussein says, go, talk to Shimr. Angrily and humiliated, Abu Fadl al-Abbas goes. But look at the words that show you what kind of character Abu Fadl al-Abbas was. He goes up to Shimr. Shimr says, this is a covenant giving you your safety. This covenant says that you don't have to fight this war, because it's pretty much over. 30,000 against a few hundreds. It's only a matter of time. Not only that, we'll give you our army in your hands. You know what he says? Look at the reply of Abu Fadl al-Abbas to show you what kind of rank he has and how much ma'rifah he has. And we need to really think about the details of these two words that Abu Fadl al-Abbas say, because it will give us an insight. He says, أَأَتْرُكُ مَنْ خَلَقَنِ اللَّهِ لَأَجْلِهِ. Sorry? أأترك من خلقني الله لأجله? Do I leave a person that Allah has created me for? What does that mean? I have no reason to live. This is the reason that I am alive, is to defend my brother and my Imam. Many people come and say what Abu Fadl Abbas was defending his brother and anyone else would. Abu Fadl Abbas makes it clear that he's defending his Imam before his brother. When his right hand was cut off. What does he say? والله إن قطعتم يميني إني أحامي أبدا عن ديني وعن إمام صادق اليقين. Likewise, so we have anyone that comes out. Sayyida Zainab defended the Imam. Imam Zayn al-Abidin in the courtrooms. Fatima al-Zahra, likewise, she was defending the Imamate when she came out of the house. Salman tells her, Fatima, go back. He says, your father was a mercy to mankind. Don't be otherwise. Don't pray against them. She says, oh Salman, they made me miscarry my child. I didn't say anything. Salman, they slapped me. I didn't say anything. Salman, they broke my rib. I didn't say anything. Salman, they took my rights. I didn't say anything, but they took the Imam. Salman, I'll speak out. Likewise, Abu Fadl al-Abbas. Where did this start? Al-Banin brings Abu Fadl al-Abbas towards Amir al-Mu'mineen. Amir al-Mu'mineen unwraps Abu Fadl al-Abbas. He begins to look at his hands. You know where I'm going with this. He holds the hands of Abu Fadl al-Abbas, Amir al-Mu'mineen, the person that brought down the door of Khaybar, begins to shed tears. He begins to cry. When he cries, al-Banin says, is anything wrong with my son Abbas? You're looking at him, you're crying. Is there any deformities? Is there anything wrong with the hands of Abu Fadl Abbas? Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib says, no, by Allah, these hands will be cut off one day. Al-Banin says, where will these hands be cut? What will occur? What's going to happen in order that the hands of Abu Fadl Abbas will be cut? He says, in defense of my son Hussein in Karbala. That's what he's trying to teach us. Abu Fadl Abbas looks at Shimr. He tells Shimr, Shimr, أَأَتْرُكُ مَنْ خَلَقَنِ اللَّهِ لِأَجْلِهِ? Do I leave a man that Allah has created me for? For by Allah, if Allah has created the whole earth with my mother, they would not become the same as the rank of Fatima, which was his mother. He goes back towards the Mukhayyam. Sayyida Zainab's at the door, waiting for Abu Fadl Abbas. She asks him, Abu Fadl Abbas, what were you doing? وصاحت يا عباس ريضني على هونك والله على هونك يشعدهم أعداياك ويندهونك. Oh Abbas, why is it that they call upon you? What's the matter? أنا خايفة يا عباس. Don't leave him, don't leave Imam Hussein. Oh Abbas, make sure you defend Imam Hussein till your last breath. Abu Fadl Abbas on the 10th of Muharram, what happens, brothers and sisters? He comes past the tent, he listens. Let's close our eyes. Just imagine this particular instance, brothers and sisters. Let's put our heads down. This night will not come again, brothers and sisters, until next year. Let's give this tea towards Abu Fadl Abbas and what he did on the 10th of Muharram. He goes towards the Mukhayyam. He listens to the cries of Abdullah Al-Radi. He listens to the cries of Sukaina. He listens to the cries of the daughters of Rasulullah. Abu Fadl Abbas can't handle handle himself. He goes towards Imam Hussein. Hussein, allow me to fight these oppressors. Imam Hussein says, if you go and fight and killed, there goes my army. There goes my backbone. He says, I'll allow you to go and get some water like you did on the 7th day. Go and try to ask some water from them. Abu Fadl al-Abbas, he goes towards the Alqami. He goes towards the Euphrates River. He comes up to a point where he breaks forth 4,000 soldiers, gets towards the water, and he holds the coldness of this water. People will begin to say that what? He's going to take a sip. No, brothers and sisters. He takes that water from his hand, throws it back in the river. He says, Ya nafsu min ba'd al-Husaynuni وما كنت بعده أو تكوني أتشربين بارد المعين وحسين. He goes back towards the Mukhayyam. The main reason he was there is to put the water in the Qirba. His mission was to get the water towards the Mukhayyam, the water towards the daughters of Rasulullah, the water towards Imam Hussein. That's his mission. So he mounts his horse, he has the Qirba, he has the Alam. He goes back towards the Mukhayyam, brothers and sisters, as he's fighting valiantly. The people begin to say, you can't fight him one-on-one. This is the son of Ali. This is the son of Al-Karrar. You can't fight him one-on-one. You have to fight him as a group. So people begin to come around Abu Fadl al-Abbas. A person comes as he's going from behind the palm tree. He goes and he comes and cuts the right hand of Abu Fadl al-Abbas. He strikes the right hand of Abu Fadl. The right hand falls on the ground. Wallahi in qata'tumu yamini inni uhami abadan an dini wa an imam sadiq al-yaqini. His right hand is down. It doesn't dent his pride, doesn't dent his bravery. He picks up his sword with his left hand. As long as the water is intact, I have to get it towards Hussein. He fights again, trying to go towards the Mukhayyam. And then another La'in comes from behind the tree. And he cuts the left hand of Abu Fadl al-Abbas. Aywa Abbasa. Aywa Sayyida. The left hand of Abu Fadl al-Abbas on the floor. No right hand. No left hand of Abu Fadl. What's going to happen? Is it going to dent your pride? No. The bravery is there. The Qurba is intact. It has water. Let me go towards Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. As he's going, the enemies, what do they say? They say, shower him with the arrows. They begin to shower him with the arrows. Oh believers, imagine this. They shower him. One of the arrows hits the Qirba and the water begins to pour. The water that he wants to live for to go towards Imam Hussein. The water all goes down on the floor, brothers and sisters. That was one of the arrows. You know where the other arrow went? The other arrow struck Abu Fadl al-Abbas in his eye. And when it struck him on his eye, a person comes with a pole from behind Abu Fadl al-Abbas. And he strikes Abu Fadl al-Abbas. Abu Fadl al-Abbas falls from his horse towards the ground. Oh Mu'mineen, we have Sayyidah Fatima comes towards one of the scholars. Imagine this. Imagine this, comes towards one of our scholars. Why is it that you do not tell the story of Abu Fadl al-Abbas? Sayyidati, I always say the story of Abu Fadl al-Abbas. He says, no, you do not. Remember, I want you to tell the people, whenever you narrate the story of my son Abu Fadl al-Abbas, that when the arrow struck him in the eye, and when the man came with the pole and struck him on the head, and he fell towards the ground. When a person falls, he breaks his falls with what? With his hands. Abu Fadl al-Abbas didn't have a right hand, nor did he have a left hand. When he fell on his face, and the arrow went deeper in the eye of Abbas. And then he screams out towards Imam Hussein, "Oh brother, come and aid me. Ya akha, oh my brother Hussein, akh ya Hussein, adrikni." Imam rushes towards Abu Fadl al-Abbas. Traditions tell us Imam al-Hussein, as he's going towards Abu Fadl al-Abbas, he stops, he leans, he goes down, he picks up something. He walks again, he leans down, he picks something else up before he gets towards Abu Fadl al-Abbas. You know what it was? It was the right and left hand of Abu Fadl al-Abbas. He gets towards Abu Fadl al-Abbas. Abu Fadl al-Abbas, one arrow in an eye, the blood of one eye on the other. He couldn't see who's coming towards him. He says to the person walking, he says, "I tell you by the one that you worship, give me a few moments so I may speak to my brother Hussein." Hussein is the one right by his head. He says, "Akhi ya Abbas, I am Hussein. I am Hussein." He sits by him. He brushes away the blood from his eye. He looks at Abu Fadl al-Abbas, but what does he see, brothers and sisters? What's left of Abu Fadl al-Abbas? An arrow in his eye. No right hand, no left hand. Body covered with arrows, body covered with wounds. Ya Abu Fadl al-Abbas. He takes the head of Abu Fadl al-Abbas, puts it in his lap. Abu Fadl al-Abbas removes his head, takes his head again, puts it in his lap. And then again Abu Fadl al-Abbas removes it. He says, "Oh my brother Abbas, what are you doing?" He says, "Oh Hussein." He says, "Oh Hussein, now my head is in your lap, but in a few moments."
Yeah, I'm gonna shout out loud just in case.
But in a few moments, whose lap will your head be in, oh my brother Hussein? He stayed with Abu Fadl al-Abbas until his soul departed. He comes back towards the Mukhayyam, who's at the tent. Zainab is waiting at the tent. She says, "Hussein, you've returned, but where's Abu Fadl? Where's my brother Abbas?" Imam Hussein, how does he tell Sayyida Zainab that I left Abbas without a right hand, without a left hand, and an arrow in his eye? What does he do, O Mu'mineen? He goes inside the tent of Abu Fadl al-Abbas. He strikes the middle pole until the tent of Abbas falls. Sayyida Zainab understood. She looks towards Abu Fadl al-Abbas. أومت بديها العقيلة الهاشمية وصاحت يا عباس وصاحت يا أخو زينب ترى زينب سبية. She looks towards him. She said, "I'm going to be taken captive from city to city, brothers and sisters.